Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.
I keep all this raw footage though, so there's a lot of stuff off camera that's like, if anyone ever saw, we'd be in trouble, buddy.
Like like our mutual friend in his cold storage of blackmail.
I don't want to talk about that. That's gonna get us all arrested.
I've committed no crimes.
You're complicit. That's worse.
No.
Haven't you ever seen Seinfeld?
Tell me.
In the finale, spoilers, they like watch some guy get like robbed or something or fall off a building. What is it? Something like, and they don't intervene, so they all got arrested for like Good Samaritan law.
Right.
And
Okay.
then that's the end. They're just in jail.
That sounds like something that should have been the Always Sunny wind up.
They just got fucking renewed for another like 3 seasons or something.
Yeah, of course.
And they're all just like, oh, we don't really like doing it, but like if you guys want it, we'll keep doing it.
I mean, they're doing the podcast now. It sounds
Yeah.
like they're still having a decently good time.
Yeah. Like they're all like best friends in real life, right?
Yeah.
Like they all started the show together because they were best friends, not like they weren't just like casted
Yeah.
afterwards. Like,
Yeah, no, I think the podcasts about movies and shows is not something that I've gotten into or that I really enjoy. But I think the Always Sunny podcast is really good because I'm crushing through the show at the same time, and it's just fucking preposterous. I love the idea of how do you be the absolute worst. There's no better premise.
one day we'll make a podcast reviewing these episodes of the podcast.
Fuck that.
It's like, shout out Jake and Amir. They have a series called Jake and Amir Watch Jake and Amir where they watch their old episodes.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, and
It's like director's commentary over top of director's commentary.
yeah. Anyway, with all those shows in your mind, have one more in your mind. That's Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate business topics sober and drunk to see if we come to the same conclusions. My name is Willows.
My name is Tyler.
And welcome to episode 71.
Wow. I say that every time.
Today, we're talking about
Etch a Sketch.
Etch a Sketch. Yeah, this is wild. So Etch a Sketch is actually founded by Elon Musk.
I thought you were going to say a Nazi. And you'd be like, wow. I had no idea where you're going with that.
Neither did I.
You sold it well, though.
I haven't thought about an Etch a Sketches in a long time. There's something I wanted to talk about that I was just talking about today, actually.
Sure.
You lived in a small town, though, so this might be kind of weird of a...
I did.
Weird comparison, but like, so I walked to school by myself.
Okay.
Right. When my brother started school, me and him walked. So I would have been 8, he would have been 5 when we started walking to school by ourselves.
Right.
And that was fine.
Yeah.
So there was a CFS case where the Canadian, what are they called? Child and Family Services.
Mm-hmm.
They like warned a woman because she had her 8-year-old and 10-year-old and 5-year-old in the backyard without supervision.
What?
But they were like playing in the backyard, and neighbors called the cops. And they're like in Manitoba.
What?
In like our
in your own yard.
Yeah. And then there was somebody else who got in trouble because they sent their kid to the corner store. And it was like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And they like got in shit, even though it was like they like you could see them from the block.
Yeah. And I mean, it used to be standard practice, send your kids to the corner store for some cigarettes and booze.
So what do you think about that? Because started thinking about it because I was thinking about Halloween for some reason. And I'm like, it's kind of sus that we're like, you just like go on a private property of like hundreds of different people. Like sometimes you go in their house, like in their landing, and like, it's kind of sketch. But like, I think parents now, are they different than like parents before? Do we just not give a shit before? Or like, what was happening?
I don't know. I think we're in like the equivalent of like satanic panic, but for helicopter parents, and like everyone's
rolls
a
up
pet
and steals Billy.
Yeah, everyone's a pedophile or a kidnapper. Although it's pretty well documented that like kidnapping itself is dramatically down.
Also,
It's-
like 99% of kidnappings happen from somebody in the family.
Right. Yeah.
They're not
yeah,
just
'cause-
random
yeah, because like
kidnappings.
parent that doesn't have custody and then takes their kid counts as kidnapping.
Yeah, that's all the fucking Amber Alerts you get are
Right.
like somebody running out of the province with their
Almost exclusively. Yeah.
almost exclusively. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Like the rage is about, I guess, little kiddies getting snatched up and murdered. Like,
Yeah, but like, couldn't you just snatch up and murder someone in front of their parents?
yeah,
Like if you're gonna kill a child, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty ballsy. What are they gonna do? What is this like overweight mother gonna do if you just snatch their kid from within their eyesight?
I guess the worst thing is you have a witness.
Like I guess, but I don't know. It just seems kind of like
Yeah, what are you going to prevent as a parent standing in your own yard staring at your children versus not staring at your children? Like, what's the difference?
yeah.
Like, there's 3 of them there.
Yeah, I feel like they could
Like-
hurt themselves in front of you just as easy as they're gonna hurt yourself. But yeah, it's an interesting like level of I was reading an article about this that happened that I'm talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and they interviewed someone and they're like some expert, and they're like, yeah, it used to be like it takes a village to raise a child. And now it's like it takes a village to call the cops on on children when they're left alone in the backyard. Like,
Yeah, like,
you know, it's like
it,
previously those neighbors that would have called the cops instead would have just watched the kid,
yeah.
like kept an eye on him to make sure he wasn't getting fucking in
Yeah,
trouble. Like,
exactly. And so instead of being like, oh, no one's watching the kid, it's like, oh, I'm watching that kid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like instead of it takes a village to raise a child, now it's like the village is full of pedophiles and axe murderers.
Yeah, so I don't know what that.
And you know what? It could be me, so I'm going to call family services just because I could have killed them.
I don't know if that's like a deliberate.
That's weird. Like it, but that's the thing. Like these things don't usually happen without having a complaint generated from some point. And I know that there's a very low threshold for those getting followed up on.
Well, apparently 50% of CFS in-person visits ended up being like false alarms.
Yeah. No, it's happened in my family because like there was some bitch in my family that thought it was fun, like a fun way to get back at someone by calling CFS on like another family member, and then that family goes through like a full investigation and maybe even like temporarily loses custody of their children because it's like serious enough of an allegation.
Yeah.
And they have to go through like a fucking custody battle, like psychopath.
Yeah. 100%.
Family member, but like completely unfounded.
Yeah.
She could fuck up someone's life with a call.
Yeah. I remember I went to school with a girl who had a kid young, and she used to like blow weed in the kid's face.
Yeah.
And be like, well, I'm going to smoke it in the house, so he may as well get used to it when he's young.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's just not good.
And I don't know if anyone called it CFS. I certainly didn't.
Yeah.
I only heard it hearsay. Like, I only heard it through the grapevine, but
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the thing. They're not responding to that or I shouldn't say not responding to that most of the time. It's those things nobody cares about because it's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, go.
did you
do
see the
your
one that
business.
was like, some woman went live on Facebook and said, watch my kids while I go out to smoke?
Oh yeah. That's pretty good.
I don't know if that's fake or not. Probably, like, maybe, but
I don't think it's fake.
That was pretty funny.
I think it's maybe she's doing like ironically or maybe not. Like either way, kids in a house like being watched by a bunch of people. That's just funny.
yeah, for sure. And like all the comments are like, get off the counter, like all this shit, like just like whatever. I was
Like
gonna say,
the kids are reading the comments.
yeah, exactly. So I was I was debating this with my business partner earlier, Zach, and we were both latchkey kids.
Yeah.
Like, come home with your own key and your parents aren't there. And like I was biking or walking to school when I was very, very young, like under 10. And like Zach was like making his own lunches and everything, and like, you know,
Yeah, same here.
like very young. And then when we got a little bit older, like 12, 13, we were just wouldn't come home for 2 days. Like just be fucking out doing whatever. And then 15, we were living in a park,
yeah.
political protesting with a bunch of homeless people. Like, surely if someone called CFS on that,
Yeah.
they'd be like, that's not okay. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
what are they gonna do? Throw you in foster care and you'll do worse?
well, the Manitoba law is anything under 12 needs supervision.
Right,
Right?
that's fair.
So over 12, but I don't think it's like over 12 you can just let them live in a tent. Like, but like, to my parents' credit, they tried to stop me to do this bullshit.
Yeah.
And I did not let them stop me.
Of course.
Well, and then like one time I called them from a hotel in Minnesota. I had like forged their signature on a letter and crossed the border illegally. And I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, don't wait up. I'm in the States. I'm on my way to Michigan. I'll be back in fucking 10 days.
Yeah.
When I was like 16. And they're like, and then I'm like, bye. Like, sorry, this is costing me money, this call. Like, you know.
Yeah.
So, but what we kind of concluded on was like, we kind of had like a, not that my parents didn't care because they tried to put in their best effort, but we were just very, very difficult to govern.
Yeah.
I was ungovernable when I was a fucking 8-year-old, never mind. But we became fiercely independent after that. And now we own a business.
Of which your parents were not like blessing you for.
Yeah, they didn't really want me to start it.
No.
Well, I think they thought I was going to fail and they didn't want me to start it. Now they've come around and they help us out. But at the beginning, oh yeah, for sure. When they had to like take out, when they lost my RRSP matching money, or my RESP, the education savings account thing that they've been saving since I was 0.
Mm-hmm.
When they lost that matching money because it gets 50% matched by the government, they were not happy.
Yeah, I mean,
but I guess
should have put it in a better savings account.
exactly. And well, and then the other thing that Zach's mentioned is that like his brother or his sibling or whatever is I don't want to misgender them. They are non-binary now.
Right.
So sorry, that was me misgendering them. I correct myself. His sibling is pretty much a loser. I love getting people's pronouns right?
and then
insulting
bashing them. That's great.
Yeah, because I'm not mad at the pronouns. I'm mad at fucking anyway. But
Being a loser.
And I'm quoting Zach. I'm not calling you a loser. If you're listening to this, I'm quoting your brother. He said that you are 23 years old and still live at your mother's and don't have a job.
I mean, who among us?
I got booted out when I was 18. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was independent when I was 16, but like, I think jobless at home with parents at 23 isn't like the insult that it used to be.
But like, he doesn't go to school or anything. Like, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Or they don't do anything.
Yeah, I feel like that's not as unusual as it used to be. It's not as rosy out there.
But like, what do you do all day?
I don't know. Masturbate.
Like, I guess.
Watch
what do I do?
TikTok videos?
What do I do?
Yeah,
all
what
day,
do you
right?
do all day in off season? I don't know. Allegedly.
I get it, but like, I don't know. I feel like there was just, I don't know if there's any correlation. Like, I don't know if I was independent, therefore, like I don't know if I was independent when I was a kid because I had the personality to start a business, or the independence being a child led me to this situation.
I'm sure there's a bit of both, because if you were helicopter parented in a way that benefited you, yeah, maybe you would have gone a different way, but unlikely. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
guess nature nurture thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. The nature nurture idea is difficult to nail down in this situation, but I think just in general, helicopter parenting your kids, like, it's not even that parents are doing it for their kids, it's they're ruining it for everyone else.
Yeah.
These are like the neighborhood Karens, right?
Yeah, well, they're calling the fucking cops on kids playing in the backyard. It's like what the fuck are you doing? Mind your own goddamn business, right? Like, yeah,
I don't even know how to I hope I don't ever have a fucking neighbor like that.
Well, like, I'm not driving my fucking kids to school. Figure your shit out.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna be, because I'm gonna be in the country, but yeah.
Figure your shit out. Take a fucking dog sled then if you're in the country. Fuck them.
Honestly, as soon as they turn 11, dog sled for sure. No, it'll probably be bus. But I mean, if you're doing like any school that if you want like a different school or a better school, whatever. Obviously, then you're driving
They
your
can
kids.
figure it out.
Oh, sure, get the 12-year-old to just get a license and go into the
Well, he
city.
doesn't have to take a vehicle. Well, cars will be banned by then anyway.
That's
so-
fair. I mean, ideally, you can just like send the kid in your car.
Oh, because it's self-driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
word.
and the teacher like punches in a code to release the child.
Yeah, we're gonna have like definitely a different situation than
I
our
mean,
parents had.
I don't think it's like that far in the future necessarily. Like fully autonomous vehicles delivering children is, I don't know, I'm not holding my breath for it.
They have the technology.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
I mean legally,
whether or not it's gonna be legal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're still arguing about fucking bus loop times and stuff like that. Never mind
Yeah.
throwing autonomous vehicles into the mix.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
No, I think as far as dealing with those kinds of problems, I mean, there's ways to do it. It's like a lot of parents just kind of get into like carpooling groups and co-ops and shit. But like again, that's not the problem. The problem is these. The scary thing about the good and the scary thing about protective services is they're more powerful than the police.
Yeah, police can't take your kid.
Well, no, they can walk into like a police situation and they can overrule like the highest ranked police officer.
Who's in charge here?
Yeah, they can overrule everyone.
I'm in charge.
I think the only
Phil Dunphy, RCMP. Now get the fuck off my crime. This is my crime scene now. Who are you? I'm Karen from CFS.
I'm literally Karen from CFS. I think the only person that can overrule a CFS agent is a judge, and even in some cases, it'd be like a negotiation.
Well, and then there's been allegations of CFS employees like selling indigenous children into sex slavery.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Yeah,
Well,
no, I only knew one CFS agent, and she was one of the craziest bitches I ever knew, and a real cokehead.
well, it's gotta take a toll on you, right?
Oh,
But
absolutely.
appar-
It's incredibly difficult.
Apparently, and this is all alleged, but I've heard some relatively credible stories, and there have been cases, lawsuits, but there's like CFS will take, because they can fucking take, like, they still do this. What is it called? Where the fucking CFS go in when you're giving birth and they take your kid.
That sounds like a repo.
They do that to indigenous women still in 2022.
Okay, for what purpose?
Because they think they're going to be unfit mothers or whatever.
Like it's something that's like a foregone conclusion. It's like before the birth, they're like you're not fit, and then they come in immediately.
And they come in immediately, and they actually hospitals alert CFS when indigenous women come in to give birth still,
right.
because our government is still genociding them. We just like to pretend we're not. They get on TV and they apologize and acknowledge that we're on Treaty 1 land, and then they fucking steal their children before they're even. And then apparently a lot of these times, like, the only evidence that they're unfit parents is like, oh, they smoke weed and they're indigenous. So therefore. And it's like, okay, well, fucking white guy drinking bourbon and smacking the shit out of his kids doesn't get fucking talked to by CFS, but like.
Yeah, hipster parents that smoke weed and are anarchists and whatever.
And then a bunch of
fine.
these kids end up disappearing apparently because they're just, if they're taken at birth, they're just never registered properly.
Okay.
Like, because you have to fill out birth certificates and shit like that, right?
Right.
So when CFS takes your kid from you before you are able to do that, they're like, oh, we'll do it all. And then they just never enter in the system and then sell them to sex slavery.
I'm gonna say this is like QAnon adjacent.
But this is like what happened. Like,
No, there's a reason that QAnon exists.
I'm not saying
there's
it's
grains of truth.
I'm
right?
not saying it's actually like that, but I hear shit about that, like this kind of shit. Like,
yeah, I mean there's an element of human trafficking that happens at birth, like, and like why not? I don't know what you do with a kid though for a while.
you don't start thinking about sex slavery. With
No, I mean,
babies.
but
That's
like
a bad.
I know
it's
it's
a bad path to go down, and like mentally.
No, for sure. I mean, like, I get there's the sex slavery angle, but it's like I feel like the idea that like QAnon has of like taking massive amounts of like kids and fetuses
Oh yeah, where
and
do
whatever,
you store
like,
them?
like who's taking care of them? Like, there's
Yeah.
got to be like a whole mothering division of Q, like,
Yeah.
or of like the
pedophile cabal of Pizzagate.
yeah.
What is it? What is that pizza place called?
Let's shut them out.
See, that would have
find
been
the address.
that would have been a good joke if you could have been like, oh, there must have been a whole mothering division of Sal's Pizza. That would have been like a good constructed joke, right?
Absolutely. Let's
So-
do it. Rewind.
Okay.
Um, so fucking Tommy's wait.
Shout out. Anyway, but yeah, man, it's sad. It's depressing. Like stuff like that, and like it's like 50% of people over 50%. I think it's like 80% of children in foster care in Manitoba are Indigenous.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's like that's not. You know what I mean? Like that. There's no.
So what's your personal experience with foster care?
I'd never had it. Like, so I was adopted.
Well, I know you weren't in foster care, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, people that you know, like, what did you personally experience and see?
Well, I'm just trying to give you context. Like, so I was adopted. So I was in the system, for a while there. I was adopted when I was 17 years old. And I sat in a room in a hospital, until then. No, I was adopted before I was born. Like, it was just already done kind of thing. So I never spent any time in foster care or anything like that. I don't even remember if they had people check up on us or anything. I don't think they did. I think it was just like, here you go. Here's your child from the child store. But
literally.
I remember making a joke one time about like buying me, and they're like, well, we didn't buy you. I'm like, well, so there was no fee? I'm like, okay, well, there was a fee. And I'm like, and there was no paperwork? He's like, well, okay, there was, so you got a receipt. It's like, okay, well, yeah, but like, it's like, so you bought me. But
that's funny.
I didn't know a ton of kids in that situation. Like, I grew up in a upper middle class white neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we didn't know. I can't even remember anyone really. Do you have any stories?
Yeah. A kid I grew up with, his parents were doing foster care for like basically as a side hustle to make more money. Because you get quite a bit of cash per month per kid that you take into your household.
Yeah, that's like a trope in movies and stuff where it's like the abusive foster parents that just want more money, so they load their house full of shit.
In this case, it wasn't a trope.
Well, it's a trope for a reason, right? Like,
no, it was like, I don't know. It was kind of gross. I mean, it's not like they had an awful living situation, but like it was definitely, they didn't treat the foster kids like crap and their kids like gold. It wasn't like a Harry Potter situation. They just treated everyone like shit. And
which is like a lot of parents, I think.
Yeah, and it was, I don't know how they got past through all the inspections and everything, but like, I don't know, they just had this big country lot and big country house. And yeah, the parents were fucking awful as long as I knew them. And then all of a sudden they had a bunch of foster kids running around. I'm like, and they're like, oh yeah, we get a bunch of money from it. So,
yeah.
And like we'd kind of hang out with the kids sometimes, but they were like quite a bit younger. I mean, I was probably like around 12 and these kids were probably closer to 5. And I didn't know how to deal with them. And like I think my friends and his siblings were taking better care of the foster kids than the parents were. Like
Okay.
the mom would come home and cook. The dad was on like permanent disability and was just like abusive and was abusing drugs and shit. But I guess like low key enough that he was never caught for it. Or like I guess the social worker was never able to catch on. He was just like
Or
on like
prove it, I
he was like
guess.
on prescription
And
opiate
it's like,
addiction.
fuck you, I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm disabled. I take opiates. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, no, he was like that guy.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and just an asshole. And like I remember him throwing my friend down the stairs, like just because he was mad at him. Like it took until they were like, it was that classic story of like finally he was big enough that one summer when he was 16, he got super jacked, and then his dad hit him one last time, and then he fucked his dad up because now you're big enough, and
Love it.
now you stopped hitting them. Like it was like that story.
We love a revenge story.
We love a good revenge story. It was actually a pretty fucking great story. I think he ended up throwing his dad down the stairs.
Nice.
It was pretty good. It was karma.
Yeah.
So that was wonderful. But I mean, I remember seeing that as the foster care story, and it always comes to mind when I think about, oh, we're gonna put this kid into foster care, and I'm like, by all measures, foster care, like in terms of like a percentage basis, I don't think does much or if at all better for kids.
But what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
right?
but it's like, oh, just
Well, okay, like what's the percentage of, you probably don't know this off the top of your head, but what's the percentage of kids in foster care that are like taken away from their parents versus like kids that are orphaned and stuff?
I imagine actual orphan situations is far less common because most people go to family.
Okay, yeah, fair.
I think most kids in foster care
Yeah, how
are
often
being
do you-
taken away from their families.
Okay, all right. I was gonna argue the opposite. I feel like, do kids really get taken away? I feel like you have to fuck up bad before your kid gets taken away from you.
Well, that's what we're just saying. You don't have to fuck up that bad.
Well, they didn't take these kids from them, though.
Yeah, well, I've seen it happen. I've seen kids land up in foster care. And ironically enough, this crazy bitch that I was related to that would call CFS on family members
Yeah.
also did foster care.
Yeah,
But she would just
you
do...
sometimes wonder, right?
She would just take in infants.
Yeah.
So she couldn't, she would do a good job of taking care of them, but she basically just treated it like literally like a side hustle. Like she would just make a bunch of money from because you get actually you get more money for taking care of infants because they're
kind of
a lot of work.
When you think about it, like treating it like it's not a job, but like
No, that's exactly how she treated it. Like it was a
'cause it's
paycheck.
like these kids deserve love, right?
Yeah, no, she just treated these kids like a paycheck.
Yeah.
And her own kids like paychecks, to be fair. But
Yeah.
like that
Sounds like
that
my
was
parents piggybacking off my success.
like that was the system though. It's like this bitch would go call CFS, and the kids get taken away. It was temporary.
Yeah.
Short period of time, whatever. They spent a few weeks in foster care.
Well,
though.
that's traumatic as fuck.
Exactly. And meanwhile, she's doing foster care for other people.
When she probably knew what to say because she was in the system, right?
Yeah.
She knew how to get them, and they knew her. They trusted her
Yeah.
because she was taking care of kids.
It's really fucked
It is
up.
really fucked up.
She's really good at gaming the system. Like that's just who she was.
So what you're saying, and because this is a business podcast after all, we should, if you need a side hustle,
Foster
just
some
adopt
kids.
a bunch of children.
Literally. No, one of my old friends, he started a group. He has a group home. That's his business.
Okay.
And like makes a pretty good living, like probably close to six figures
I couldn't be like they're
for running a group home.
morally. I don't know about that for me.
Well, the thing about it though, like he's genuinely one of the nicest, best people that I've ever known. Like big heart. The guy grew up in the North End, and I guess he puts like the guys that are willing to like puts them through like boxing and like gets them really active. Like he's as good of a father figure as I've ever seen, and he was doing group home work while like his dream was to have his own place and run his own group home. But he was working at one. He was doing night shifts, and while also in college and working a full-time job. So his schedule was literally 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. You'd go one to the next, And so you'd do full 8 hours of the group home at night. He would start school first thing in the morning, and then he'd do his 8-hour job, and then he'd go right back to the group home. And it was like 24 hours. He did that for 3 years. And then when he could finally do it, he opened his own group home. And now he does this full time. And yeah, it's like close to a six-figure living. But like you are there 24/7. You live with those kids, and it is your entire life. You are on the hook for every last one of them. It's not like you can just go, oh, I'm gonna go out tonight. Like you got to make sure that you know where everyone is and what they're doing, and they're not getting themselves fucked up. Like it's a more intense lifestyle than I think I could handle.
And it's like a really emotionally taxing, I would assume, because like I can't imagine many kids that are going into group homes are like well adjusted and like
Exactly. And
you know what I mean?
he'd tell me about some of the kids he had, and like some of these kids were just like outright violent. Like
Yeah.
they were just destroying shit. They would like the reason it was good that he was a boxer and like from the North End, he's a fucking tough guy. Like some of these kids would just like try to beat the fuck out of him, like or try to stab him. Like
Yeah.
it happened on a regular basis. So
Yeah.
like how many people out there have a heart of gold and can handle that shit?
See, I don't like regular well-behaved children.
Same.
So never mind like this kind of child.
So next time you see someone like that is genuinely good, fucking give them one of these Tennessee Mountain Made mango habanero flavored whiskey beverage shots.
I was
I'm trying to read the entire back of this fucking bottle, and it's so convoluted.
That was almost a good transition.
Ha!
into
Except for I stumbling.
Are you okay?
No! I need a shot.
Well, good thing that we're going to our segment that we call Shot Caller.
Thank God.
The part of the show where you, the audience, can pick the shot that we take.
Old Smoky.
Today we're back to the old smoky Tennessee whiskey mango habanero version. If you know, you know. Cheers.
So enough on that depressing ass subject.
Yeah, I agree.
It's got some burn. I like it. Not alcohol burn, spicy burn. Gonna wash it down with some whiskey. So today I did the in-person practical exam for becoming a Canadian certified tile installer.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
Pretty good. It was kind of weird going into it because it kind of felt like really rushed and.
With a bunch of people, or do you go in alone?
There's 5 other guys there.
You in like a classroom kind of setting?
No, it's just a test.
Okay.
So there's.
Where was it?
It was at some commercial company out by Inkster Business Park.
Okay, that are like sponsoring it almost, probably.
Yeah, they're a member.
Yeah.
They're a big, whatever, multi-million-dollar company that does like tile, terrazzo, concrete, and a bunch of other shit.
Okay.
But yeah, pretty inspiring actually to see that business. Fucking gorgeous offices. It looked like some kind of like insurance or tech company. It looked like a tech startup. Like all glass, steel, custom building. Just really modern, really nice office.
Yeah, I want my fucking company that's working on aesthetics on my house to look aesthetic.
Yeah,
like,
it was gorgeous.
So fuck off.
Yeah,
but for context, it was basically like you were challenging a degree, essentially.
Basically, that's kind of what it was. But in my impression going into it was like, oh, this is just like a really low bar. But I guess it kind of feels like that because I'm pretty experienced already, and I feel like it's rudimentary knowledge. But like if you weren't experienced, going into this would have been really difficult.
What were the other guys
or
there?
impossible.
Around your age or what?
No. So that's the thing. I walk in there and I'm kind of expecting, a bunch of newbies.
Bunch of kids.
Yeah. And like people going in there for like, oh, I've just started doing tile or whatever. I'm doing this for training. That is totally not the vibe. It's like, it's not a training at all. They just literally, they throw you in. They're like, there's the thing, there's the materials, and we'll see you in 6 hours.
Okay.
And there's zero instruction. They don't help you at all. It's like sink or swim.
Because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Is they want to make sure you can do it.
Yeah, just a test, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was decently like, I mean, it was basic in its its structure, but yeah, there's like there's no assists, and they don't let you take certain tools in, so you really got to know what you're doing in order to make a good result, right? There's no cheats, basically. So that part was good. And so I came in, and there was, ironically, one no-show. So it's an $1,100 thing to do. Guy paid the fee, did the online exam, which was actually quite a lot more challenging than the in-person. So that was quite difficult. So did the online exam, passed, and then didn't show.
Hope he's okay.
Yeah, like weird.
Got too drunk last night.
Yeah, it was an early start, so whatever. But yeah, the other 4 guys that were there were all older Chinese men.
Interesting.
I think the youngest one probably would have been early 30s, oldest probably late 40s.
Okay.
And they're you can always just tell kind of like by the look of the person, their comfort level, their tools, how long they've been doing this, right? All of them like seem like veterans. Like, I felt like this is the moment where it's like, oh, these are the guys you see on like YouTube doing like ASMR videos, and you just kind of like sit back and watch them make this like super elaborate, intricate thing over a number of days. And I'm like, oh, I'm fucked. Like I'm gonna be the worst guy here, hands down. But there's a bunch of old Chinese men here. Like I'm gonna get my ass kicked. And turned out that, I mean, they were all totally competent, but they had kind of a weird workflow that I'm not going to get into because nobody gives a fuck. But
smart.
True. I ended up finishing first. So it was a 6-hour test, and I finished at about hour 3.
Nice guys finish first. Wait.
Yeah. No. And then the kind of most experienced like guy of the other group, they all seemed to know each other. At least they all hung out at lunchtime. None of them spoke to me. Like I tried to be sociable, be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And like, just guy kind of like smiled and walked away. Like, oh, okay, this is just
nice.
Yeah,
that's how we treat you around here too.
Yeah, exactly. So there was no socializing there, but yeah, cruised through the exam, finished first, which I was surprised at. I thought the one guy was going to beat me for sure. I mean, to be fair, it's not timed. Like, it's entirely in our own heads.
But
I did get
you know who got first.
But I got a little prize for it. And, like, the thing is, like...
They gave you a saw.
I wish. The reason for doing something like this, long story short, it's like, why would you go and do a test or go to like go and do a certification, get a certification for something you already know how to do. And it's one of those things like we've kind of talked about before, of like the idea of like getting a university degree. It's now you're kind of a part of a club that knows, or a club that can be pointed to and edified and like understood, like, oh, these are competent people, and they're taking that extra step to legitimize themselves. And I looked through like the contractors list of the memberships, and it's actually not that big. And yeah, so that part's really good. And we have a really potentially gigantic contract coming up that came from one of the reps that was at this event. So he's like a product rep that like sells shit to us, like our inputs. And I guess he, for some reason, was talking with someone about a gigantic job, and then he dropped our name, even though we've never done anything like that. We have no reputation for this kind of job. And he just dropped our name, and now we get to bid on this thing. And it's an entirely new opportunity for us. That's like, I don't know, it's well into six figures for a single contract. And it was just because this guy who knows us through, I guess, events of this kind and just networking, right? So it does have a lot of value. We pay $1,000 to get into this event. I have access to a couple of board members from big companies, from product reps, and then the actual evaluators and members from this federal organization. So it's like, it kind of seems like a little bit of bullshit at first, but I'm really glad that I went, because, I mean, it was more challenging than I expected. And I'm like, I was thinking about the people that I've hired and trained. I'm like, I think only about like one or two of them would have been able to cruise through this easily. So that made me feel a little bit better about spending the money and time on it. But yeah,
you get a little card or something.
You get
title to your business card.
It's kind of like a Chamber of Commerce idea.
Okay.
So if you're a member, you can use their graphics on your website. You're listed in their directory as well. And I think there's like access to ongoing training and stuff like that. And like, I guess the point is you can just say you're a certified talent star, they can look you up and shit. And now you're like, I think the big thing is you're on this directory now. So it can be verified when you say that you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, because cards or whatever. I mean, I'm also a certified forklift operator, not to brag or anything, but
I'm not a certified forklift operator, and I drive a forklift all the time. When was the last time you drove a forklift?
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Quite a while. When's the first time you drove a forklift?
Me? Oh, like when I got one.
I was 11.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, anyways, I don't mean to brag.
OSHA fucking breaks down the door. We heard that.
With a forklift.
With a forklift.
Oh yeah. No, I think it was really cool to go through this experience, because I didn't even know it was a thing until I got the invitation to the event, which was like 2 weeks before it happened.
It's like the secret sex societies. You don't know it exists until you get an invitation.
I mean, I tried to sign up to one, and they're like, "Sorry, we're full."
Dude, I fucking try to join like 6 times a month. I really need. Anyway, never mind.
But yeah, so I guess my takeaway from that would be, I mean, Willows has said this before, if you don't have an association, make one.
Yeah, just I've talked about that a bunch. Like now my association has 7 members.
Yeah.
Of local wineries, cider makers, distilleries, but we just made one up when we started.
So what could your partner Isaacs do in terms of certification as a winemaker that wouldn't be university? Like, that would be kind of an equivalence to getting certification.
I don't think there's any equivalent. UC Berkeley does a little winemaking course.
Yeah.
That like gives you like, I don't think it matters as much in our trade.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I never really heard about it before, which is kind of why I brought it up. Like, it's not something I've ever even been asked about.
But so here's the thing, is that like you might be able to be like, you should hire me for this $1 million job because, well, the other people bidding, they don't have certification. I'm certified.
Yeah.
Right? But for me, it's like they just taste the product, and that's how you make a determination of whether the work is good. Like in your industry, like, so my friend's actually going through this right now. He got his bathroom tiled or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Buddy did half of it, and then it was that storm.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago.
The snow
The
one or
snow-
the rain one?
the snow one.
We've had a lot.
So he couldn't get there. He's like, sorry, I can't finish the job today. Like, I just can't. My truck's stuck. I can't fucking get there or whatever, right? Rescheduled for the next week. There was a second storm,
Yeah.
literally. Canceled again, and then never doesn't hear from him. So the following week, so this was last week, and I saw my friend. He calls the contractor to be like, okay, well, this weekend's not gonna fucking be raining. Calls him, number's blocked, or like goes straight to voicemail.
Huh.
Goes straight to voicemail. Then he calls off of his like girlfriend's phone. Goes through.
Right.
And then he's like, "Oh yeah. I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you in a few hours. I just gotta figure shit out or whatever." Doesn't hear from him. Calls him back later that night. Now his girlfriend's phone's blocked.
Yeah.
Or goes straight to voicemail.
Yeah.
So he calls off of my phone when I saw him at the market.
Yeah.
He's like, "Can I use your phone for this?" And then I'm like, "Oh yeah, actually, I have 6 numbers because I use a VoIP for my business, so I can dial out for my company number, from my cell phone number, for my desk number. Like I have all these phone numbers I can call
Just
out
gonna
from.
be coming up as shrugging doctor over and over.
Yeah. So we tried to call him or whatever, and then he blocked me. But yeah. So then he's like, so he's paid already.
Oh.
Right. That's
never pay.
That's the problem. But because I think he was like, I don't know exactly what the deal was, but it was like he was half done, or no, I think he's paid half. He's paid the deposit, or whatever, right?
If he's fully paid, slap that guy.
Yeah, no, he's not. He paid the deposit, but the work's half done.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's gonna cost me fucking more to finish it. So he's like, I'm gonna fucking go find this guy and sit on his car hood until he fucking gives me whatever. But like, I remember you telling me when you started this business, that would have been like, what, 2 years ago? Not quite.
Mm-hmm.
When you told me you were starting this, you said something along the lines of, contractors are so fucking bad. All you have to do is like, don't lie and show up and do the work, and you're better than 90% of them.
Yeah.
And
if you got a pulse in a truck, you're better than 90%.
And I remember, and then I every time I hear a story like, oh yeah, we just like, he just didn't finish because there was a storm, and then now he blocked me. Every time I hear that, I'm like, oh yeah, Tyler was right. Like,
see, what that tells me is that guy had a job, another job that probably paid more, or he needed, maybe I wouldn't even give him that much credit. Maybe just he had another job coming up that was gonna pay him immediately, faster than, like, he could get the next deposit faster than he could get payment for finishing. So he took the next deposit, and now just like isn't going to push his schedule, move his schedule to like go backwards and finish this other job because he's already on to the next paycheck.
But that's fucked.
Yeah, absolutely
like,
it is. But I mean, like, that's how these fucking guys are.
I hear stories like this all the time. Like my neighbors at my parents' house, they like paid a deposit on a roof, and it never happened.
Yeah.
And we were talking about they're getting sued right now. There's this moving company that's like, they do long range moving specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So like, there was this guy moving from like Calgary to Winnipeg, right? And they take all your shit in a moving truck, and then the reason why the scam works on a long range moving is because it's a few days before you realize something's wrong.
Right.
Because obviously, if you're moving across the city and they don't show up in an hour, you're like, where the fuck are you?
Right.
But moving across the country, you know, it's 4 or 5 days before you're like, okay, where's my shit?
Your shit could be anywhere.
Exactly. So then they're like, oh yeah, there was a mix up at billing. I know we quoted you 5 Gs, but it's actually gonna be $20,000. And then if you don't pay them, they just keep your shit. So they like hold your shit hostage.
Oh, that's wild.
And that's the scam. And I just saw a CBC article about it. So it's like this company moves between like Winnipeg and a bunch of other places.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's, and then apparently they're like, oh no, like, you know, it's not a scam, like it's just cost of transportation went up, so we had to raise our prices or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, they're using some sort of bullshit to like justify
fuel surcharge.
But they're not being upfront about those things. And
Yeah.
then they're like, oh yeah, like you got to pay us 20 Gs for the fuel surcharge. And like, well, you didn't tell me about that. They're like, okay, well, don't get your shit then.
Yeah.
So that's like, they're being sued, right? And there was like, CBC does their like expose series. What is it called?
Marketplace,
where they like expose things like this.
Yeah.
So they did one of those on that, and yeah, it's just like,
Was it a sizable company or was it just like
I think like relatively,
huh?
like to the point where they had there's enough for a class action lawsuit.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah. So, but it's just like, so I hear stories like that, and it's like, does no one give a fuck about their reputation?
Man, you can get away with shit for so long, and I think I've talked about this before, but this, like, bad contractors can stay in business in perpetuity because people won't go around talking about the time they made a really bad decision.
That's fair.
And they're
See,
not.
I'm always like,
no one's gonna evangelize how dumb they are
in the years of
or how dumb they feel.
Yeah. In the years of the internet, though, I find it really hard to, like, it works if it's the Carney method, where you
Right.
pick up, after you scam enough people, you pick up and move towns.
Yeah.
But, like, now it's like everything's on the internet. Like, people can leave you fucking Google reviews and, like...
Yeah, but I mean, how do they locate the Google review? Like, you can constantly be changing your business name.
Yeah.
Like, you can be changing brands. Like, you can get around that. You can use it to your advantage, right? You could use the internet to your advantage in that respect. Like, you can create a false image just as easily.
Yeah, I guess you can make a fake website, make 10 fake Google accounts,
Yeah.
review bomb yourself 5 stars, and then
Exactly.
you have enough of an internet presence that you're believable.
Business idea.
Yeah, we just keep scamming people. But, like, I don't know. I just couldn't... Like, obviously, I care about my customers.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't even like making easy money. Like, I'm even I'm even hesitant for like that kind of money that's like, yeah, I guess you can do it, but like it's kind of a shitty way to make money. Like, it's like I mean, we talked about this before, but like the idea of selling out. I even shy away from easy money for whatever reason. Like,
Some Mennonite blood in you.
I think it's a part of that. I think it's also a part of just the idea of me having the experience in my life knowing that easy money is bad money. It's fickle, and it's probably like there's always a catch, right? Like, I'm always extremely cautious of easy money.
So I had a conversation.
I don't go for it.
I had a conversation. I won't use very much detail at all because it's... Well, you'll see why. So this is a girl... an acquaintance, let's say, but she does anyway. Well, so her and her boyfriend or whatever, and he's like kind of a, I don't want to say gangster type, but like that, like whatever. But they made $200,000 last year from just robbing people and scamming people.
Nice.
Right, and they live pretty lavishly. Because like $200,000 tax free,
Yeah,
is like a pretty good living, right?
pretty fantastic.
So they live nice cars, nice jewelry, like, whatever. And it's like, she was telling me this, and like it is what it is. Like I'm not gonna judge people. Like, obviously, I personally believe you shouldn't be hurting other people. Like, don't violate other people's non-aggression principle. Don't steal don't steal if there's a direct victim. Like, those are the kind of things I personally believe in, right?
Yeah.
But I also believe in dupers and dupies, and I mean, like, if you get scammed and ripped off, like, it is what it is, right?
Which is a terrible way to run a business, by the way.
Oh no, 100%, I agree. And like one of the like she does like online sex work. Like, she doesn't have sex with people, but she does like OnlyFans and stuff like that.
Camming.
But so what she does is posts that she does full service sex work, and then takes a deposit and then blocks them.
Oh.
And makes like a bunch of, and then what are you going to do? Go to the cops? My illegal prostitute fucking stole my money, right?
Yeah. No, I've heard of scams like that, and like, so there's this really, when you get like those sus text messages and you're like, oh, obviously this is spam. I got one the other day and I'm like, oh, this is creative. I want to see where it goes. And it was a text message that was phrased in such a way that it was addressed to someone else.
Okay.
Like, as in if it was a wrong number situation.
Okay.
But it was like a girl looking for a guy that had presumably given her his number. Okay. And then was like looking to hook up.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was a local number, like a city number.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, whatever, this is whoever. Just wondering if you're still like down tonight.
Yeah.
And it was like really casual like that. I'm like, I a lot of spam calls. I'm very paranoid.
So do I.
So I just played along.
Yeah.
And I'm like, haha, no, it's not me, but, I wish it was. Like, he was being, like, all cute and coy and just, like, dragged it along like that for a while. And then it probably took about 4 or 5 messages, and then it flipped from, like, this is a believable person to, like, now this sounds like a call center.
Was it a bot?
No, I don't think it was a bot. Like, it was 2...
What was the scam?
The first 3... I'll get there. So the first 3 messages sounded real.
Yeah.
But every message after that sounded like a bot.
Okay. Well, it's like you're on customer support with Amazon. They have pre-made responses to millions of questions. And when the AI reads your message, it narrows it down to like what the response is.
Yeah.
And they just plug responses in instead of like typing their own shit.
Yeah, so I think what probably happened is I just didn't identify the bot quickly enough, because I guess that's kind of how it is when your first few messages of the conversation are kind of platitudes,
Oh, there
right?
was pussy on the line. Like, you were fucking just not thinking about it.
So, yeah, but 3 messages in, 4 messages in, I'm like, okay, this is very obviously, like, I guess, yeah, a bot. And then there was pictures of, like, her sending partial nudes, but it was like...
I think we should see these for evidence, just to explain the scam.
But, starts sweating. Already sweating.
Oh, that's disgusting. Where exactly are they posted?
But they were, like, really grainy, and then, like, had, like, a watermark kind of superimposed, and it's like, oh, there's the dead giveaway right there, right?
Dead giveaway.
Dead
giveaway.
And then the one after that was, like, even more grainy, and then, like, a website link watermarked across it, and I'm like, okay, these are, for one, not a real person's, like, these are stolen images.
Yeah.
Watermarked over and have been, like, downloaded and re-downloaded and re-downloaded and re-downloaded and compressed a bunch of times and just look like dog shit. And then also, the final scam was, oh, hey, instead of, like, and this was at, like, 10 in the morning on, like, a Thursday.
I love sexting at 10 in the morning on a Thursday.
And was like, hey, you should call me right now. And I'm like, it's kind of a weird direction to go with this. So, like, I deflected, and then was like, oh, okay, well, actually, why don't we just get on a cam chat? And I'm like, there it is. And it was just like a link to a camming website, and it's just one of those places that just takes your credit card info and doesn't give you anything.
Okay.
So it was just all funneled to, like, a phishing scam for your credit card.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it was a local, like, the whole thing. And I'm like, this is really fucking creative.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I usually don't give these the time of day. Like, I get so many robocalls and stuff. I just let my Google Assistant pick it up and dump the calls and shit. But with a text message, I just always think of that guy that does the TED Talks that, like, drags along scam artists for super long, like, over email and phone
there's a guy
phone and
on,
email. He's a comedian.
There's a guy on Twitch that I follow that does that too, and he's kept them on for, like, days.
Is that the same guy with, like, the big glasses?
No, he's we've talked about him before. I always forget his name, Carabaga or something. He has, like, voice changers.
Oh, okay.
So he'll, like, make himself sound like a granny.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It's so fucking funny. And then he's like in front of a green screen, right? Like on Twitch. So he'll, like, because they try to get you to go to the store and buy Best Buy gift cards.
Yeah.
So he'll put on car sound effects, and then the green screen will be like him in a car, and it'll be like, bah, 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 and he's like wearing a granny wig.
Oh,
and it's just like
that's great
so
Twitch
like,
content.
It's
Holy
performance
shit.
plus scam, like fucking with these scammers.
That's so good.
And he's
monetize the fuckery.
Yeah.
That's so good.
But he's a programmer by trade.
Yeah.
So he makes fake websites and shit. So because they'll, like, get you to go on TeamViewer and stuff, so they can, like, scam you. So he'll make a fake local credit union website.
Oh, and do, like, a virtual machine probably.
On a virtual machine, yeah. And he's like, so to, like, log in your bank, so he'll log into his bank, and it's fake, and all the bank account numbers are like 6969420 and shit like that. And it's just like it's so fucking funny. But I guess he can program on the fly.
Yeah.
So when they're like, oh yeah, we're set, like,
because it's on a virtual machine, he's running his actual machine.
Yeah, and he's smart. So he's like, they're like, when they do the thing where they, like, send you $50,000, and then you have to send, you're like, oh, I accidentally sent you 50,000 instead of 5,000, so send it back, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He'll make it look like that money's in his bank account.
Yeah.
And then there's one where he, like, bought a Rolex on Amazon with the money and shit, but it was, like, all spoofed.
Yeah.
But it was like, and the guy's screaming, and then he's like, no, don't spend the money. Like, it's just like, it's fucking great content.
Oh, that's brilliant.
But yeah, I don't know. Fucking anyway, I was gonna say
That's the internet being good.
yes. No, but I was gonna say about like finessery, like $200,000 in a year from like scamming people. Like, you know, it's I sold $400,000 of wine last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's just like at a certain point, I feel like I don't believe in like karma as like a cosmic thing, but like I feel like if you just fuck people over, eventually something's gonna happen. You're gonna fuck over the wrong person.
Absolutely. Like they're not. I mean, they're probably not. Geniuses that can just get away with it in perpetuity. Most people aren't. Even geniuses can't get away with it in perpetuity because eventually you stretch. Like what usually happens is people get too comfortable or too arrogant and they stretch a little bit further than they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And they push into something and they leave a mark.
Well, especially if you're like robbing
leave a
people
fingerprint.
and stuff, it's like
Yeah. That's incredibly personal.
you know how many fucking crazies there are out there?
Oh yeah, like
all it takes is one guy that's like, this is the fucking thing I've been waiting for, and gets his fucking rifle out of the car.
I mean, there's great thriller movies about shit like
Yeah,
that.
you know,
like
and it's
that.
just like-
One of my favorites is this girl who just like rage honks at a guy who like doesn't go on the green light immediately, and she rage honks at him, and then he ends up like, long story short, chasing her around the city and like killing half her family.
Wasn't that with Dustin Hoffman?
I think so.
With what's it called? Fucking yeah.
Yeah, great movie.
Yeah.
Great idea. I mean, it's not that far from the truth because a shitload of people die from road rage in America.
But like like I think you're gonna get farther along. And I give my brother this fucking lecture all the time. It's like, because I used to sell drugs back in the day as well. I get
allegedly.
Allegedly, like I get it, right? But like when he was doing shit like that, I'm like, dude, like you can't do it forever.
Yeah.
Like it's just not a sustainable. You like best case scenario, who like you're Tony Montana.
Yeah.
And you fucking get murdered. Like, you know what I mean? Like, name a fucking cartel boss that wasn't killed horribly.
The only successful weed dealers you'll find are the ones that have had like the same 15 clients their entire lives.
When like weed dealers is one. Like most weed dealers, illegal weed dealers I know, just sell enough weed so they can smoke weed for free.
That's fair.
Right? Like, but like name, like you're trying to be Pablo Escobar?
Yeah.
He lived 5 years in fucking hiding. Like, you know what I mean? And then got
died.
murdered by police, like on a rooftops of Mayadeen. Like, you know, it's like...
And he was the biggest and best there was.
Who's the best person in your category that you're trying to emulate? Who are you striving for? And do you want their life?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I don't know.
No, they want their shitty diamond-crusted Breitling that's not worth anything.
That really pissed you off, eh?
It's brilliant. Yeah, another shot.
We take a second shot anytime we shoot something that's not 40% alcohol, so cheers.
Which we usually do, so... Yas. Real good. Okay, so what kind of scams were they running? Like, can you generically share, or do you not know?
Yeah, I just don't want to be like give any detail, but like, yeah, so like the OnlyFans thing, the like keeping people's deposits.
Okay, OnlyFans isn't a scam though.
No. She would be like,
then the deposit.
She would be like, yeah, $300.
Right.
I'll have sex with you. They send her a deposit, and then she just blocks them.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah.
And then
But I feel like you could, if you're doing that through like an OnlyFans, you could just get sewered through the platform.
No, I think they were. I don't know, man.
It's probably separate, but yeah. Anyways.
And I know they like. She told me a story. They like robbed just someone walking around like in Vancouver with a bunch of Louis Vuitton shit, and like just like they just fucking
just straight up mugged
give
somebody.
me all your bag and shit like that, like stuff like that. And it's just like, just scam, like you just scam and like
just small time petty shit,
just finessery. Yeah, like you just there's
not like Will Smith and Margot Robbie.
No, just like stealing credit cards or like what name a thing, right?
Which I mean is kind of dumb because I feel like you can get caught on credit cards because it's the most traceable crime.
And I like to see I like to always quote Jay-Z saying, "You're on the gram holding money to your ear. There's a disconnect. We don't call that money over here." Like $200,000 is not a lot of money.
No.
Like
No, it's not. I'm willing to go to jail for it kind of money. Not even fucking close.
Not even fucking close.
10x that at the
Maybe.
least.
Maybe.
And I would probably still say no.
Like
$2 million bucks. It depends on the odds. I'd start considering it at that point. But
yeah, but like you know what I mean. Like it's just like the amount of money
they're doing it as a lifestyle. They probably see
Yeah.
themselves. They probably watched that Will Smith movie and are like, "That's us, baby."
Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is like great, but like
I mean, Bonnie and Clyde got horribly murdered and were
that's what I'm saying.
they were psychopaths. They were awful people.
It never works out. Like is what I'm saying, right?
But that's romantic as hell.
yeah, perfect.
We're gonna go down in flames, baby.
I'm just saying, like, usually for the same amount of effort, if you can sell drugs, you can sell things in a business.
No,
I say that all the fucking time.
That's what gets me is like the effort and the finesse and the hustle. You could just do real business.
And then you're just like, you don't have to check your fucking shoulder every day.
Yeah, and you could be more aggressive and open about it too.
Because this country, in America, you are allowed to finesse people if you do it through the proper channels.
That's what they don't get.
Capitalism lets you exploit and steal and abuse and get rich off of it, and legally.
There's nothing.
And not only is it legal, but it's state sponsored. Like the state will send their armored police to kill people that are trying to stop you from performing capitalism.
This is true.
So, like, be a finesser through the proper channels. That's our shirt of the week. Proper channel finesser.
Yeah, I mean, just being a scam artist, you're basically just operating just outside the bounds of what's considered like acceptable business practice.
Literally, yeah.
You're just outside the boundary.
Move the wire a little bit, and then just run a business.
Or you're just going too small time, which is why I like some of like the great con artists that, you know, the guy that fucking sold the Eiffel Tower twice.
Yeah.
The only difference between the small time scam artist and the bank.
You're thinking too big. You're too small.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, great Stalin quote: "One death is a tragedy, a million is a statistic."
Yeah.
You know, stealing $10 from an old lady is a horrible crime. Stealing $1 million is fine.
It's just business, baby.
It's just business, baby. I think that's a good point to make. So what I'm trying to say, like we had the one podcast of like, all right, I'm gonna sell out and finesse a bunch of capital and run a business into the ground.
Yep.
Do that.
Perfect.
You get the endorsement of this podcast. We're certified.
We'll sponsor you. Yeah, Tyler just took a course.
We are fully we're CCTI certified to raise capital.
Yeah, we are.
Yep, truth. Look us up.
So I have a story, one last story, that will lead into my tip of the week. This is the segment that Tyler and I call Tip of the Week, where we give you a business or life advice of something we are currently going through. So it's May the 11th today.
Ooh.
And if you know my business, I make and sell wine, and a big part of my income comes from doing farmers markets and events, and those mainly run in the summer, and those mainly run when there's not a global pandemic preventing people from going outside legally. So this summer is the first summer where two of those things coincide in a while. So I've loaded up and signed up for a lot of farmers markets and events and stuff, and this is I kind of need a good summer to pay off my pandemic debt. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. So I've taken on
which presumably was the whole purpose of the pandemic debt.
Yeah,
you take on the debt and then have a good bounce.
Well, we'll see. But
dead cat bounce.
My part. So I've overcommitted to shit that we're doing this summer because I need the money.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that overcommitting is that unfortunately I can't be two places in once yet. I'm working on it. But
waiting on those Tesla robots.
Yeah, most of these markets happen on Friday, Saturdays, right? So Saturday we have like 5 things to do at the same time.
Right.
Because it's also our busiest night in the bar, so the bar needs to be open. And then we have multiple markets, and then all the one-off big night markets and stuff like that, they all happen on fucking Saturday nights, because when are you going to do an event, right?
Yeah.
So I will and do just work 120 hours a week, but I can't physically be in two places at once on Saturday,
I feel you, man.
right? So that being said, I need to hire somebody I have two people in my department that do markets right now, but I need a third to cover all the work that we have this summer. So I posted a job posting this week. Didn't get a large amount of response. To be fair, I haven't really, I didn't post on Indeed or anything. I just fucking posted on my social media.
Right.
So I can probably work a little bit harder to get some more resumes, but I got a couple. But I like to have at least, last time I was hiring, I had fucking way too many because it was for this student program.
Right.
So the universities pushed it to all their kids.
You know about the Green Team Initiative?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of hijack your business tip right here. So in our province, we have something called I think it's called the Green Team Initiative. It's for exclusively summer students. So you can apply for it. You have to start in January, February. You have to apply for it.
So too late.
Yeah, but
So
for next year. So you get because it takes a while to get approved, and
Yeah.
then you get approved last minute. You can start hiring.
Yeah.
And then what they do is they subsidize. I don't know if it's 50 or 75% of the wages of the person that you're going to hire.
Okay.
And they do it fully through the summer, and the only condition is that you hire a student, and it's for the summer period.
Why is it called Green Team?
I don't know.
Okay, because the program, a very similar program to what you're describing, we used for the last 2 years.
Was it COVID related though?
No, but it wasn't called Green Team for sure.
Okay. Well, I don't know. My girlfriend was telling me about this because she worked on it for her for the dance studio.
Well, the exact program you're describing is why we got so many applicants.
Yeah.
Because the government was going to cover 50% of the wages up to $25,000 over the summer.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good.
And our friend Ty Worthington, I think was one of the people that told me about it, because he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, I use it every year, because it's up to 5 employees, up to $25,000, and up to 50% of their wages.
Yeah.
So
And Ty maxes it out.
no, so literally, if you hire 5 people, but he's like, I was hiring 5 people anyway.
Yeah.
So it's literally $150,000 grant
Free money.
for
Yeah.
free
Yeah.
if you were going to pay that anyway.
Yeah, and it's something that's not taxable either
What's a grant?
on your bottom line. You're subsidizing wages, right? It might go to your profit,
Yeah.
but you could CapEx it out, whatever.
But yeah,
It's
so
in the corp.
I'm paying, so two summers in a row, I was paying $8 an hour for a fucking employee.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Good program, honestly. Wow, give small businesses more capital,
Wow.
and it
Or
and it's
just
good for
breaks.
and it's good for the economy.
Or just tax breaks.
Yeah. Anyway, but well, and the only downside is that if for smaller businesses, smaller than mine, I guess you wouldn't really need an employee, but you have to pay the entire summers of wages and then claim how many hours it was.
Right.
So it's not like you're getting weekly checks.
So you get a reimbursement on the back.
You'll get a check in October when you
okay.
close it out the 31st of August.
Right, so you got to be able to finance that.
You have to be able to finance
which
it.
I think is actually that's a pretty good barrier to entry. I think that's decent because if you can't carry that employee for that period of time,
You shouldn't be hiring them anyway.
you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I was able to get it for 2 of my employees. So the first year we did it in 2019 or 2020, or that year, I guess, we hired a new person, and she was on that program. And then actually it was the best the next year. We actually got Wyatt on it too. Well, one of my people that have worked for me my entire business, because COVID, he was laid off.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're laid off for more than 6 months, it's technically not a returning employee.
It's a rehire.
It's a rehire.
Nice.
So I got him on that fucking thing too. So I got a $20,000 fucking check at the end of the summer, which was fucking dope for that.
Nice.
But anyway, so none of this is related to what I'm talking about, but I need to hire somebody, and my former employee, Ellie, who moved to Vancouver to study, and that was the whole thing. Like I hired her when she was 18. She was finishing school. The following year, she went out to BC to study, right? So she had texted me maybe 3 weeks ago, being like, "Hey, I'm coming back to Winnipeg for the summer, but I'm working for like a clothing store out here, which is like she's studying like fashion marketing.
Okay.
So like that's the that's her industry. She's like, I'm working at a clothing store or whatever. They're gonna transfer me to their Winnipeg location in the summer, so I can continue working for the same company or whatever. So, if you want me to come back, I can give you two days a week to work for Shrugging Doctor." Because she had kind of said before, like we've kind of been like we have each other on like Instagram, like we're kind of in touch. So she had said like maybe 6 months ago, being like, "Oh yeah, I'll come back for the summer," right? And then so she's telling me like 3 weeks ago, she's like, "Okay, I want to come back for like a little bit because I said I would, but like I have 2 days a week to commit," right? And then like a week ago, she's like, I don't think I have any time to commit. Like it's just not going to work with my schedule. Like the days that you need me to work is also the days they need me to work. Like it's just, I don't think it's going to work.
Weekend peak sales hours.
So it is what it is. So that actually, when she confirmed 100% that she couldn't work, that's when I posted the job listing.
Yeah, and now that she's fully out, you can hire someone that could be fully in.
So then, what day is it? Wednesday? So literally on Monday, 2 days ago, I wake up to a text from her being like, "Hey, so I know I told you that I couldn't work for you, but they transferred me to this location, and this store in Winnipeg is completely different than their store in Vancouver. They have me doing a bunch of bullshit that's like not what I want to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're cutting my hours now, like in half. Like they have her like doing like splits where you drive in for 2 hours, drive home, and then 2 hours later come back for 2 more hours.
Oh, that's
shit like that.
Yeah, that's not fucking worth it.
And
You're spending all of your money in gas.
Yeah. So she tells me all this, and she's like, "So I'm kind of considering quitting and coming back to you full time for the summer because I really liked working for you,
And it pays a hell of a lot better.
And the only reason I said no in the first place was because I thought it was going to be like a whole thing with being at home and like but it's like I would prefer to work for you." So she's like, "I understand if the offers rescinded, but like I'll cut." So I sat down with her yesterday, and she's gonna come back on and do her old job and cover everything. So my tip of the week: don't try. And things
of this to go to that,
and things will just work out.
It's true.
Like I don't even know. Like maybe posting that job listing made her be like, "Oh shit, I should probably go back."
Mm-hmm.
But I think like if I had just done nothing, and my partner was stressing out, he's like, "We need to fuck another employee." I'm like, "Yeah, we'll figure it out," and we just did.
It'll happen.
It just worked out.
It'll
so just
happen.
don't even try.
So you're telling me you still need another person after?
No. She's covering everything. I like. This is good.
Okay, so
I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And that's good because it's someone you can already trust.
Exactly. Well, I don't have to retrain her.
Yeah.
Like training somebody, like even barely, I needed them to shadow like 2 or 3 different shifts.
Not even train. I mean, like you can trust the person is competent.
She's not going to steal my money and
yeah, and that she's not going to fuck over your reputation and so on.
Yeah. So yeah, it's everything worked out, and I didn't even have to do anything.
Fantastic. Love when things shake out.
They always do. I'm really lucky.
You are really lucky. I think that's like a running theme in our lives. You're really lucky, and I'm really not.
Yeah, because like
one day it'll turn around though, and you're gonna get fucked.
No, my luck is all I have.
Okay, no, someone else in my life is gonna get fucked, and then I'm gonna get lucky. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's my luck is all I have. Like I'm just everything works out. It just does.
Maybe my enemies will get fucked. Probably not.
You have enemies?
With my luck,
I have people that think they're my enemies. I don't give a fuck.
They're not relevant.
I don't care. They're not relevant to me. Yeah. Anyway, give me a tip of the week.
Now I'm just trying to think if I have any enemies. I don't think I do. Functionally, no. I probably piss people off, but I have forgotten already.
Dude, I have fucking people screaming on Twitter.
That's Twitter, though.
Retweeting my shit, being like, "This fucking idiot," all the time.
That's just good Twitter, though.
And it's like, why are people talking shit about, like, I have people that hate me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Like, I can't even remember your fucking name.
I don't think about this, like, it's the Mad Men where he's like, I pity you. He's like, I don't think of you at all.
He's like, I don't even know your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I think my tip would just be, unsurprisingly,
take the certification course.
Take the
for
certification.
tiling, and that's it.
Yeah, take the CCTI course and fail. No, I'd say look for, if you have a certification, like any kind of bar that's not, like, I'm not talking Better Business Bureau, I'm not talking Chamber of Commerce. I mean, like, something that actually qualifies you in the subject matter that you do business in. Like, there's certain things that are too generic to be worth anything, but also industries.
Better Business Bureau is a scam.
100% it is, yeah.
And
It's a racket.
The Chamber of Commerce isn't necessarily a scam, but you just pay them and you're a member. It's not like you have to prove anything.
Yeah, no, it's really generic. Like, that you have to create the value out of it. There's certain things, like this one, we had to pay quite a bit, but, like, there's also a certification layer to it. So, for industry, whatever your industry is, I mean, see if there's something like that nationally or state, province, city, municipal, whatever level that you can be a part of. And if you can, lean into it. If not, what you might be able to find is something in your product category. So one thing, I was actually reading through the brochure of the people that were whatever certified under this organization, and I saw this one, like, I guess you can pay for like a full page ad in their brochure, and they were saying like, oh, we're like this product certified installer, we're this and this product certified installer.
I will interject there for 1 second. I think a lot of traditional advertising is stupid. Like, don't buy fucking advertisements in newspapers and shit unless you're a really specific niche business that's like advertising to old people.
Yeah,
it's not effective. Don't spend for it. However, there's the caveat for that. Buying B2B advertising can be extremely effective.
Yes.
Almost every single like 2 or 3 times where we've bought wine equipment or like weird specific yeast strains or whatever have been in advertisements of wine magazines that we've like been featured in.
Yeah.
So like Crush magazine, I was in their magazine and they did a story on us and they sent me copies and we were just like flipping through the copy that we had and there was like a half-page ad for like some weird thing and we're like, oh, actually we need a supplier for that.
Yeah.
And then Isaac's like, fuck, I hate that, like, the advertising got me.
Yeah, I hate the flyer got me, yeah.
But B2B advertising, if you have stuff you're selling to other businesses, like tools or tile or whatever, you know, name a thing, that I think is probably worth the money.
Yeah, like I said, you have the same level as yourself. Like, there's the contractor level, which we're at, but there's also a supplier, distributor, manufacturer level. And the supplier, distributor, manufacturer level are the ones that trickle down business into the contractor level. So I got to look at it like, I'm not advertising to other contractors. I'm advertising potentially to other suppliers and showing that you can and will spend the money and also put the work into an ad and whatever. Like, it's just one of those things. It's like, it's another barrier to entry. It seems dumb and old school, but like, you put yourself kind of over that hump and you get recognition. So now I'm thinking about this guy's business. I know about it.
Yeah.
But it was like some fucking Toronto business that does like luxury high-end condos and shit, whatever. The same kind of stuff we do, but in Toronto. And he was like certified as an installer for all these products that I already install. And, you know, us being one of the best companies in the city doing these products, we're not certified for any of them.
Okay.
But like, how do people know? Like, they would have to see either word of mouth or they'd have to see a picture. But like, if I can put that I'm certified by this corporation organization, that for one gets you the sticker, the bragging rights. Number 2, you get in contact with that distributor supplier, because all their, like, the people you will meet are middle management, middle salespeople, middle distributors, local salespeople, whatever. They're trying to push volume. You need to get FaceTime with them. You need to get recognition with them. And once they know you and identify you as someone who like wants to work with them and work with their product, sometimes there's like niche or new or different stuff. You can find an angle and you'll just start getting work from them, because inevitably they're going to be spending a lot of money in marketing. Probably, this one company I'm thinking of, Cosentino, they're if you've ever heard of Quartz countertops, they're the company that invented that.
Quartz watches?
Close. So
That
now
was
they've
Seiko.
now they've got a new product and they're pushing it out, and nobody wants to work with it. But we've shown that we're willing to work with it, and we're one of the only people in the city that want to do it. So now they're sending us really big clients, just
Because if anyone reaches out to them, they're like, "Well, here's our guy in Winnipeg."
yeah,
Basically.
it's either we have this kind of thing, but we're not like, I don't know anybody that could install it. Could you recommend someone?
And
Because
they're like, "Oh, well,
when
here's our guys."
yeah, when you're gonna go buy this gigantic porcelain slab and they're $3,000 a piece, you're not gonna be like, oh, let me just go find a guy.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, please recommend someone.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, when it comes through that and things go wrong, sometimes they'll actually like when shit goes wrong, we like break something on site, they'll back us and they'll give us a new piece for free.
Okay.
Because they like, there's some kind of
symbiotic relationship.
yeah.
There.
So there's a lot of benefits to shit like that. So, if you cannot find the association, find the manufacturer, supplier, distributor that has a mutual interest with you,
No
and
matter
get
how niche you
FaceTime
are,
with them.
There is a group that's doing what
That's
you're doing.
yeah, and more, and there's also something more niche.
Yeah.
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 So fucking find that thing, because it might be an angle that pays off really, really big, and literally the only thing it takes is a lot of confidence, and you can probably fucking pull it off. Because I mean, I've walked into these training events with new products with shit I've never even seen before, and been like, oh yeah, and then I've gotten customers for products I've never touched, as being edified as a qualified installer for something I've never touched. And it was worth tens of thousands. So, I mean,
you're spilling
fucking
all
show
the
up.
secrets here.
Yeah, fucking show up. It's great.
Well, thank you for that, Tyler. For all our Tylers,
That's extremely practical advice for anyone.
that is actually practical advice.
Yeah, talk shit on that, Willows. I dare you.
I would, but we're out of time. So thank you for listening to Alcohol Beyond This Point, the podcast where we debate topics, both sober and drunk, to see if we come to the same conclusion.
I'm drunk, are you?
Huh?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for going.
It's like one of my favorite quips is like, I thought you're showing your nip.
The L stands for value.
Alcohol Beyond This Point podcast.
This isn't two podcasters talking business. This is two business guys trying to podcast.